Hey, Arcturus here. Today we're looking at a Battleforce from 2024, the Inner Circle Task Force, which contains models for the Dark Angels, Space Marine Army. There is one model that is usable outside of Dark Angels, and that is the Chaplain and Terminator armor. Everything else is a Dark Angels exclusive miniature, in that you can't take them in a general Space Marine force, you do have to take them within Dark Angels. Now, the Lion may shift in out of 10th edition, I'm not sure, but currently he is only available in the Dark Angels Codex supplement. Although if I do have that wrong, please let me know in the comments down below if I've missed an FAQ or somehow missed a page in the Space Marine Codex. So let's take a look at what kind of sprues we get. And before we do that, like and subscribe, and let's take a look at some of the sprue. Now, the sprue for the Inner Circle Companions, which are the robed, is going to be the same for both sets. And we will move this box because that is making it very difficult to see. So here we have the bits for the Inner Circle Companions. So we have the robes, the swords, some pistols, and some extra add-ons like this iconography there. Some nice, that probably attaches to this one and is the banner. And then you have some robed arms and braziers with smoke. Some two-handed swords, pistols. This is, of the new Dark Angels models, this is one of the only ones with a ranged option, although I guess the Lion technically also has a ranged option. But the Deathwing Terminators do not. They have melee only. Though there is a Deathwing Terminator option, that is not, the Deathwing Terminator option is actually buildable through an upgrade kit for the standard Terminators, not through the Deathwing Terminator kit. Although I guess you could probably use the same upgrade sprue for the Deathwing Terminators. I'm not sure. You probably wouldn't want to do that, though. I'm not sure, though. Why is that fuzzy? There we go. So here we have the Chaplain in Terminator armor. So he has the option for a Relic Shield. He has a Crozius, and I believe some other mace, maybe, instead of shield. Looks like a mace. Yeah, that would be attached to these. So that'd be a mace and Crozius, or mace and shield, maybe. Or maybe it's Crozius and shield. Let's see. That would be a left hand. It looks like you could take either the mace or Crozius. So originally I was not planning on collecting Dark Angel, and then I did put together the Mini of the Month Deathwing Terminator, and that's what kind of made me go, okay, I actually do want to build these, because I already mostly painted it. So here we have the Lion with his large tactical rock, here with room for his little Watchers in the Dark. So there's a nice robe section here. Much like Gilliman, he has some extra bits for armor plates to kind of get more detail on those parts. At least that was the reasoning I heard. He does also have a pistol, which is holstered. And then he has his little Watchers, who I believe have a few options. Well, I'm not 100% sure on that. I believe I've seen the Watchers have a few options. Maybe the Watcher, I might be thinking of Azrael. The Lion may not have options like this. I know he does have a few different heads. So he does have a couple of these cloaked heads. I do really like the cloaked unhelmeted version. The cloaked helmeted version in person actually looks a lot better. When I saw it online, it looked a bit too much like Mortarion for me to be happy with, but that may just be the online view. And then you also have the winged helmet, which is very cool looking, in my opinion. You do have some Watcher parts there. I believe there's two. I don't see the rest of it. I know one holds his sheath, and I guess the other one holds a banner. So that's the sprue for the Lion. And I did have one piece come loose from somewhere. I will have to hunt that down. I think that's actually from an Inner Circle Companion sprue, but I'm not sure. So I did have one piece come loose in this box from the Inner Circle Companion. I think it'll be okay. It doesn't look too damaged as a part goes. So here we have the first 2 sprue for the Deathwing Terminators. Oh no, I lost more than one. Okay, I lost more than one piece on this, so the box did come damaged. None of the parts are broken in half or anything, but some of them are popped out of the sprue. Like the shoulder pad, for instance, which is missing from this sprue. But here we have the Terminator. So we got 5 shields. You have 5 swords or 5 maces, I believe. Now the leader can take a few different options, and you can swap all the swords for maces. But as I don't believe you can swap individual weapons within the squad. I'd have to double check. I think for the most part they've moved away from that. But I would, again, as I said, I would need to double check. One nice thing is the shields do each have different iconography on them. But there are no blank shields, so you can't like easily freehand one. You'd have to sand stuff off. I do really like these Terminators. I like the mix of cloth and armor. It just makes a very nice blend on the miniature. And then here, missing the shoulder pad there, and you do get an extra shield, and some various head options here. So it does look like most of the hooded heads, or I guess the 2, or there's a few hooded heads with at least some armor. And you could, I believe, swap those for some Primaris Marines to use them as extra heads. There's some with armor. Okay, that's good. Excellent. My preference is for armored heads, although the hoods do look good. And you do get a Watcher in the Dark to use as a token, and a Teleport Homer beacon here as well. So, I'm trying not to push out I see why that popped out, if those are held on by a single point. Set this back down. So those are the sprue. Let's take a quick look at the options for the Lion. So here you obviously have the different head options, which is very nice. It looks like you can either add you can add a halo if you have him unhelmeted, or you can have the winged helmet there. That's interesting, and you have some nice images there on the top. And it looks like his Watchers only have the option for a banner and a scabbard. So it must be Azrael, who I'm thinking of, who had the Watchers with options. Very possible I'm misremembering entirely. So let's take a quick look at the Deathwing Terminators. So you do have 2 options for the Knight Master. One modeled with a mace, one modeled with a sword in the ground, and then you can build the rest into the standard either knight or knight with swords or maces. And this Watcher in the Dark only has one option as well, there with the brazier. The Chaplain in Terminator armor can wield either the Crazius or the mace, whichever one you think is cooler. As to be honest, on the table, I probably would not be able to easily at a glance tell you what the difference is. I would suspect that the melee is probably pretty similar for those. And then we have the Inner Circle Companions, who do not come with Watchers in the dark. You do get a few different, you can build one with the sword over the shoulder there, in the brazier, or 2-handed swords. And it does look like you don't have a ton of customization options, because some of the swords are 2-handed versus 1-handed. Although, I guess between 2 sets of them, you could probably get a few. It doesn't look like there's a good amount of variation. I guess there are some small variations for the ones without the banners. But if you want to build the banner for 2 different sets of them, or the leader, with the leader you are going to have those kind of more monopose looks. One of the reasons I collected this box, and it's not finished, and I don't know how this will look on camera, because the camera shows all the things you wouldn't normally notice by hand, but this is the free mini of the month. I painted him up. I did not paint him in the typical Deathwing bone. I picked green instead because I didn't feel like painting bone, which is as good a reason as any. And my view on that is if I'm going to paint bone, I'm going to paint some Bone Reapers, since those are all done up in bone. I quite like this. I do need to redo those feathers there. I had meant to do those sooner. And then I need to figure out some heraldry to go on that shield, which is why it's still that white there. And I, of course, could do some highlighting, but like many parts of this hobby, there's a certain point where you go, okay, I'm done for now, and I'll come back later. I'm sure there's some touch-up I missed, but for the most part, I quite like these. I quite like this color scheme, and I'm quite happy about this. That model is the reason I picked up this box. So, because I built and painted him in like a weekend, and I was very pleased with that, since I hadn't been painting for a while at that point, and I was very pleased to go, oh, okay, actually, I do want these, so that's why I picked up this box. So, anyway, that's all I have for you this week. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will catch you next week with another video.